Hello, this is Russell Dobular sitting in for Jimmy Dore, who is performing in El Paso, Texas on Friday. So if you happen to be in the El Paso area, catch the show. All right, so you might have noticed, really interesting. So after the WCK workers were killed by the IDF in an airstrike, in a very obviously intentional airstrike, there was all of a sudden the whole media pivoted all together, almost as if they were directed to do so, almost as if phone calls were made.
Clearly.
It was incredible. All of a sudden, all of these people who'd been shilling for Israel, not only since October, for decades, turned around, and Joe Scarborough screaming at their finance minister about sacks full of cash going into Gaza, being brought by the Qataris under Netanyahu's direction. Oh, yeah, screamed at him.
Because Biden was losing.
Why was Netanyahu funding Hamas, a terrorist organization, screaming his head off? And okay, now, you know a directive came down from the top, because what he was screaming at him about was not a story that had broken that day or that week. That was a story that had broken in December. Yeah. The New York Times printed that back in December, and he was just got to the party 2 weeks ago. At the same exact time as all of these people start acknowledging that Israel, you got Leon Panetta goes on TV and says the Israelis shoot first and ask questions later. They're not careful about civilians. And then, as things started to escalate with Iran, and as much as we can read between the lines or tell or parse out from different news stories we've seen, Biden, or the Biden administration, Biden doesn't do anything, Jake Sullivan worked out a deal with Netanyahu that if the Israelis don't start World War III with Iran, they'll stand down on Rafah. So as soon as that deal, this is my theory based on various news reports, they gave the word to the media, you need to go full bore propaganda against anyone who is speaking out against Israel, focus it on students because they don't have platforms and institutional power. Focus it on them. And let's be honest,
no one really likes them.
Nobody really likes them anyway. Focus it on them, because we got to get ready, because these images that are going to come out of Rafah are going to so clearly be sick and genocidal. We have to soften people up now. Basically, what the media is doing right now is a shock and awe campaign against the public to soften everybody up so that they already have defenses in place against any public outcry that is sure to come at the sight of even more horrific mass slaughter of women and children. So these people that you get news from, they don't do news. They're actors, they're operatives. They take orders and they follow them. And you could see that in this sudden shift. So here, Scott Galloway, this 2 weeks ago, Joe Scarborough screaming his head off about Netanyahu paying Hamas. All of a sudden, Scott Galloway defends Israel on his show with one of the craziest monologues you're going to hear in a crazy time.
It's just Kid Rock's monologue.
All right.
One of my pet peeves seems to be one of your pet peeves, and that is, 2 million people have been killed in the Sudan civil war. I haven't seen a protest in NYU for that. Assad killed 500 Arabs. I didn't see colleges burned down. 500,000 Arabs killed by Assad. Saddam Hussein killed over 1 million Muslims in wars. I gassed them. I didn't see protests there. And yet your school is shut down right now because Israel is responding to the worst attack against Jews worldwide since the Holocaust. Help us sort through that.
And we can debate that response.
I don't know algebra, but I'm pretty good at the common denominators here, and why there's no common denominators in all of these. It's just that it's Jews defending their homeland. Because if you look at the numbers, even with American wars, they don't add up.
Okay, fuckface. The common denominator here is we were not funding those actions. None of those were our allies.
Right.
We were not directly responsible, maybe in some deep state ways responsible, maybe in some abstract ways responsible, but not directly responsible. Israel is our client state. We are paying for this. We are sending them millions of dollars. You are going to sit there and make the formulation that you can't see what the common denominator would be, and the common denominator is very clear. We were not paying for that. These were countries that we were had hostile relations with, that we did not have any particular influence with.
You don't remember Iraqi AIPAC? Saddam paying Joe Scarborough to defend Saddam? Bullshit.
Yeah, and number two, no colleges are being burned down now.
Of course not.
NYU is not being burned down. Number two. And number three, you see Mika tries to sneak in there. Yeah, we can debate their response, but
Right.
well, you were debating their response 2 weeks ago. You were doing that. You had panelists on your show saying we need to stop weapon sales and then sanction Israel. Now, you guys didn't say that, but you guys grilled. I forget who he was. It was some Israeli official that they were grilling about why Netanyahu, was sending the suitcases to fund. Right. So,
he was I think, their finance minister.
Oh, okay. Was he that high up? I didn't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, so you were willing to actually take a side in that debate. It seems just 2 weeks ago. So what happened? What happened? Something obviously happened. Yeah,
they got a call.
Yeah. They all know what they're doing. None of these people are dumb.
That's it. Well, we're going to see as we go on in this segment, some information has leaked. Specifically about MSNBC. So let's go on.
Oh, well, first off, good to be with you, and I especially appreciate your leadership on this issue. I'll give you some more numbers. 2,200 American servicemen killed at Pearl Harbor. We go on to kill 3.5 million Japanese, including 100,000 in one night. 2,800 Americans in 9/11. We go on to kill 400,000 people in Afghanistan and Iraq. We weren't accused of genocide.
We weren't?
Maybe we should have been.
We weren't? This is what a bubble these people live in. Yes, we were.
We just got away with it.
Yes, we were. We got away with it, but certainly we were accused. Remember the protests in the street? Biggest protest since the Vietnam War? Did you miss that? You slept through that? Asshole.
You had, if Mexico had elected a jihadist cartel to run their country, and then they incurred into Texas, and on a per capita basis killed 35,000 people, or the population of the University of Texas, and on the way back took the freshman class at SMU hostage and hid them under tunnels, what would we do? It'd be the Great Sonora radioactive parking lot. But Jews are not allowed, and Israel is not allowed to prosecute a war. And they are prosecuting a war more humanely than we have done. The ratio of combatants to civilians
that might be true. We are
of civilian death to combatant mortality is lower than it was in Mosul, lower than it was in Japan, lower than it was in Germany. So there's just a different standard for Jews in Israel when it comes to prosecuting a war. They're allowed to fight back to a truce, but unlike America or any other Western nation that has attacked us viciously, they're not allowed to win a war. It's a double standard.
It's not fair. It's not fair. All these other countries get to do genocide. We don't. It's not fair.
I mean, that's just stunning.
Students are mean to us.
We did that for Israel, by the way. Why do you think we did all those other fucking wars we lost? You ever see Bibi talking about how it was going to get easy to beat Iran? As soon as we win in Iraq, it's going to make it easy to win in Afghanistan. We lost both of those.
Keaton, anything?
Well, I don't know if it's the most offensive part, but certainly one of the things he gets most wrong is this comparison between Gaza and Mexico, as if those are two equally sovereign, equally politically autonomous places. Yes, exactly. Gaza is an occupied territory, you piece of garbage. I mean, these people are just beneath contempt. I mean, they really are.
Concentration camp.
It's a concentration camp. It's an occupied territory. You cannot assign the same political autonomy to Mexico as you would to Gaza. That is a politically illiterate thing to say. It's mind-boggling. But this is the fact that's hidden in plain sight, and it's been hidden in plain sight all these years. And unfortunately, tragically, horribly, it took this current war, or this current flare-up of an ongoing war, I should say, to really bring into focus for people the fact that when Norm Finkelstein calls Gaza an open-air concentration camp, it's not an exaggeration. Right. Because only once you understand that can you understand how absurd and obscene a comparison between Gaza and Mexico. Well, if Mexico elected a terrorist government and they invaded the United States, the people of Mexico have political autonomy because their state is a sovereign state. It's not an occupied open-air cage. Like, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that at this point people can go on TV and say a thing like that.
Well, and
being paid,
and he's also just giving up the game, as these Zionists tend to do. Okay, so you're listing all of America's greatest war crimes, and saying we got away with it, and then you're saying if Mexico did such a thing, we'd commit an even greater genocidal crime than Israel is currently doing.
Right. We would commit genocide in response to a terrorist attack. Just like we did in Iraq and Afghanistan, and nobody seemed to have a problem with it, right?
Right. But they are so much in this bubble, and anybody who watches this and is not fucking horrified and disgusted is just completely brainwashed with this deep state kind of realpolitik vision of the world, where the relevant part of what he's saying is not supposed to be we would nuke Mexico.
I know. Right. That's my morning Joe hearing that shit. Oh my God.
You know what? He's got a really good point. We would nuke Mexico. I don't know why everybody's so mad about the 15,000 dead women and children.
People said that to me out loud. Okay. Oh yeah, we should dude. I mean, what is their bubble, by the way? Satanism? What is the bubble here? This is beyond. This motherfucker's an operator. Joe Scarborough is. The thing you said at the top, dude, I think that's exactly what it is.
That's exactly what it is.
Because we avoided World War III, so Israel got to do a little, right? So Bibi's not in trouble with his psychopaths, right? And then they're like, all right, turn it back on the students because we're going to calm it all down.
Exactly. Because it was it was such a quick pivot. It didn't organically evolve.
I thought it was
all of a sudden they all went right back to this narrative that they had dropped for a minute, which was weird in and of itself. Zachary Foster here. Tell me you didn't bother to Google what is the definition of genocide under international law without telling me. For a tech expert, this Galloway fellow should learn how to use Google. Perry Bartol. Be careful there, Scott. There are lots of people out there who aren't aware of how many people the U.S. has killed in pursuing foreign policy goals that never had the consensus support of Americans. They might even start objecting to U.S. foreign policy in the first place. Okay, so here we don't have to speculate on what's going on at MSNBC. This article just dropped about why Mehdi Hasan was fired, among other people who got pulled off the air.
Oh, I wonder why.
He
was such a great piece of shit. They should have kept him forever.
But you know what? These fucking goons are so horrible that they make Mehdi Hasan the hero of the story. The weeks following the Hamas attack on October 7th were a tense and surreal time at MSNBC. On October 9th, the Monday after a weekend of breaking news coverage, Jonathan Greenblatt, the head of the Anti-Defamation League, appeared on Morning Joe. I love this show, he said, and I love this network, but I've got to ask, who is writing the scripts? Hamas? His vague criticism appeared directed at the three Muslim anchors who had worked that weekend. Ali Veshi, Ayman, how do you say this name? Moyeldin? I don't watch MSNBC anymore. Moyeldin?
I don't know. Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay. And Mehdi Hasan, who had all long been targets of various Zionist media watchdog groups like Camera and Honest Reporting, which regularly accused them of spreading lies about Israel. In 2014, Moyeldin had been working as an NBC News correspondent when he was abruptly pulled out of Gaza after reporting on an Israeli attack that killed 4 boys playing soccer on a beach, only to be reinstated after a social media outcry. In 2022, Semaphore reported executives had expressed, quote, discomfort with Moyeldin's and Hassan's coverage of violence between Israel and Palestine in the year prior. The weekend of October 7th, MSNBC interrupted its recap show, Morning Joe Weekend, to go directly into breaking news. Velshi was the first to anchor the desk, and he brought on Moyldin to talk. Quote, "What is the broader context?" Moyldin asked Velshi, explaining how Hamas viewed the attack as retaliation for ongoing settler violence in the West Bank. Quote, "The important thing to understand in all of this is that this is not a conflict that started today."
So it's not like
I remember that video. I remember watching that video, not live on TV.
I remember the who writes the scripts Hamas thing. That video I didn't see though. Hassan appeared as a commentator.
Hamas is going to be like it. That's just that in 1,000 years, that's going to be like a Yiddish slang term for anything that pisses you off.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, the traffic on the bridge, it was Hamas.
Yeah.
Right?
It was a real Michigan Hamas.
Yeah.
Hassan appeared as a commentator on Sunday night when his show would normally air while Alex Witt anchored. In a 6-minute appearance, he spoke about everyday life on the Gaza Strip, describing it as an open-air prison and stressing the population density, poverty, and high number of children. Meanwhile, Greenblatt was privately meeting with NBC executives to urge them to do something about what he saw as anti-Israel coverage, which the ADL equates with anti-Semitism, a fact revealed on air that Tuesday when he appeared again on Morning Joe alongside Al Sharpton. Quote, "And this is what a fucking whore Al Sharpton is. I know you had very positive conversations with people here at the top of the network," Sharpton said to Greenblatt, "and I think that the leadership here understood that in your conversations. You motherfucker, you've been running around, running your fucking grift since the Tawana Brawley days," which I'm a native New Yorker. I remember your fucking bullshit from back then. And you talk about social justice and justice for all people, and you're going to get in bed with a piece of fucking shit like this while the brown people you supposedly care so much about are being cruelly genocided on a daily basis. You can see the videos everywhere on social media, and you're going to fucking suck up to this scumbag on TV?
He'll do as he's told. Black people don't like him.
This motherfucker.
Just white liberals like him now. I mean, for a while, it was only white liberals that liked him at all. I remember when there were black people that were like, call Reverend Sharp. I had a friend that went to, that's a long time ago. He's been exposed quite some time ago. It's only like your Joe Scarborough's. Oh yeah, bring Al Sharpton on, and he looks like a mummy. Have you seen him?
He does.
He's clearly
what is that? What is that? Lap band surgery? What?
Yeah, I don't know why people have a conspiracy about clones. No, he wasn't cloned. He's clearly degraded into whatever kind of thing Joe Biden is. No cloning. It's not fresh out of the fucking pod. He's the same piece of shit.
There's a conspiracy theory about an Al Sharpton clone?
About all these people.
He's just clones. How these people don't look like themselves.
They go, this is
what podcast are you listening to? I got to check those out.
Dude, they made that Netflix movie. They cloned Tyrone or whatever the fuck.
Oh, yeah, I saw
That's
that.
An old school. Yeah. But all people, because they believe in these figures for a minute, and they go, but they're like a totally different person. Do you see so the explanation is not, it was a lie the whole time. Somebody must have cloned them.
Somebody must have cloned them, and the real Al Sharpton is tied to a chair somewhere with a gag in his mouth.
Yeah, but there was no real Al Sharpton. That never was a thing. That's the part.
Right. But Al Sharpton was always this person.
That's right.
It's not even like it's really a change. He was always like that.
Right. There is no Al.
Afterward, anchors were told by management not to give their opinion. With Al Sharpton, his grift used to be to pose as this outsider.
Yeah, right.
But it's like I think it was Huey Long who said whores, politicians, and ugly buildings all get respectable if they last long enough. That's what happened with Al Sharpton.
Yeah.
He lasted long enough that he could get a job on MSNBC. Afterward, anchors were told by management not to give their opinions or offer context around the Hamas attack or Israel's subsequent siege of Gaza, a directive that did not seem to apply to hosts like Joe Scarborough, who would regularly affirm his support for Israel on air and online. Quote, everybody put the screws to NBC and MSNBC to change the tenor of our coverage, says one employee. Around October 7th, context was not welcome, says another. Context was a bad word. Empathy for Palestinians almost felt forbidden inside MSNBC. Some employees began lodging complaints to HR about staff they felt were expressing views that were too pro-Palestinian, says one employee.
What does this remind you of? This reminds me of when the SJW plague first hit all companies and there'd be complaints lodged. I don't feel safe.
Sure.
So you don't need to get operatives for this. You got to program your society to turn into these little Chairman Mao children. And that's what they did. And now that's why woke is dead, because these ones take precedence over the other ones.
They're using those techniques and that language. I mean, there's been a split among these Zionist anti-woke people. You have the Barry Weiss camp that does not want to add Jews to the list of protected identities. Right. She wants to use this as an opportunity to end the whole premise.
That's right.
And then you have others who want Jews added to the list.
Yeah, John Stewart's
protected
like, we
categories.
should be together.
Right. According to someone with knowledge of the newly proposed weekend schedule, before October 7th, the Mehdi Hasan show was always part of the lineup. Quote, they needed a sacrificial lamb. There was remarkable pressure on MSNBC to say, we've done something, they say, referring to compounding pressure both inside and outside the company. They needed to show that someone lost something of value because of the Israel-Gaza stuff. You get the most bang for your buck by getting rid of him.
I mean, he's probably annoying.
I would say he probably is
his book,
a pretty annoying guy.
He wrote a book called How to Win Any, except one, obviously. But he fucking made the book. What kind of piece of shit would write a book like that? Not a thing of like that's why I hate these debate kind of things, because if we're having a debate and you're right, I'll go, oh, thanks, I didn't know that you were right. Like, I'm not trying to win for an audience. I want to know things.
I think for certain people, people, particularly people of Muslim descent, non-white people of Muslim descent, you have seen certain people like Mehdi Hasan who would sell out their mother for a nickel, or so you would think. This is, if you've ever read or seen the film adaptation of V is for vengeance.
Vendetta.
V is for vendetta. There's this beautiful story where this, lesbian decides she'd rather be executed than sell herself. And she says that there's that one last inch of your soul that you won't give away. And it seems like this issue is that for some people.
Yeah.
For Mehdi Hasan, this issue seemed to be the 1 inch of his soul that he simply could not give away.
Yeah, and they shit canned him before it got to the point where they wouldn't have been able to contain him, as this has gotten worse and worse and worse and worse, right? Like they would have either had to, by this point, fired him or let him say what he wants, and they're not going to let him say what he wants.
Yeah, Velshi is Canadian first, so he'll be a punk, because he was doing the report on AIPAC. AIPAC is, I couldn't believe we're sitting there, me and Jimmy, AIPAC has too much influence, MSNBC.
Right, yeah.
We're like, and I was like, if Mehdi Hasan just held out, he could have been doing this report. Right. But Velshi gets to do it because he's a better suck up.
Right.
These people are the worst.
All right, Misha, to you.
Hey, get this. So we all know that the mainstream news media is not reliable. How can you trust them when they've never told you the truth about Russiagate, Ukraine, COVID, lockdowns, anything? That's where our sponsor, we have a new sponsor, Ground News, comes in handy. Ground News is an app and a website. And what they do is they gather related articles from around the world in one place so you can compare coverage. So it's not, they don't generate the news, they compile the news, and then they give you the visual breakdown of the news outlets and tell you if the source has a political bias, and if it does, what's the political bias, and how reliable that the reporting is, and who owns them. So it's super helpful and transparent. Check this out. So like if you search Russia-Ukraine, search Russia-Ukraine war, and you'll see how it's covered. Here we see 111 total news sources. 18 of them are left-leaning. 9 are right-leaning, and 27 of them are centrist. The bias distribution is 50% center, and it even shows their logos along with their factuality and ownership. So this is a pretty helpful, dare I say, use an old-timey term, this is a neat website. So this is a good way to do your own research. So you get there, you see they help you by seeing what the bias is, by who owns these news outlets, but they compiles all different kinds of sources around one news story. So it gets you access to independent and international perspectives, not just nationalist sources with the same political agenda. It helps you find the discrepancies in how certain topics are covered and shows you how corporate agendas can influence the news you read. Sounds a lot like this show. Sounds like this website does what this show does. Sounds nice. So if you want to see it for yourself, go to ground.news/JD. Ground.news/JD. Use the link below, and we're going to get you 40% off unlimited access. Go to ground.news/JD, and we're going to get you 40% off unlimited access. Think critically about the news you consume.